This is Alan Wake 2. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is the long-awaited sequel to Alan Wake. It's been 13 long years, and we're finally here with the follow-up. This story continues the adventure of Alan, where we first, kind of met him in these falls, and where we last left him in the Dark Place. So in this story, you start by playing as Saga, one of the two main characters alongside Alan, where she is here as part of the FBI to investigate a series of murders. There's a cult. You have to figure out what exactly is going on, and with all experiences that are part of the Remedy universe, there are, of course, some mysteries, secrets, and many hidden things of the supernatural. So this is a horror story. It's filled with spooky things, terrifying situations, and it's also a psychological thriller, as you would imagine most Remedy games are. It's very technically impressive, but not without some technical issues as well. So here we are with, basically Saga, our main character that we're playing as, and is that Max Payne? So that's Casey, who essentially is a stand-in for Max Payne, because Take-Two has the rights to that character. And this really is kind of a love letter to the Remedy games. You know, there's definitely a direct character that you would say references Quantum Break. Control is a big part of this situation and universe, and of course Alan Wake is a big part of the game as well, taking up, I believe, half or a little bit less than half of the overall chapters. So the game has two options. So the first option that we were just on was performance mode. So performance mode was 1440p with a actual rendering of 1505 by 847p at 60 FPS. This is the quality mode. So quality mode is a 4K output rendering, but you're actually getting 2258 by 1270, and those exact details were provided by Remedy itself, and it is at 30 FPS. This is also the way Remedy suggests playing because it's more true to their technical vision and goal for the game in regards to how it is supposed to look and play and showcase. Obviously, performance mode I think is a little bit more up my alley. I like the fluidity. I still think it looks really, really great. So we're going to be switching back to that. I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of taste of the two. There is also motion blur and film grain options, and if you have an issue with nudity, at the bottom of the interface options you can do a nudity sensor, which I turned on because I was streaming and doing video content for this, so I need to make it as safe and online video friendly as I can. I hope you understand. So let's dive in and let's talk about Alan Wake 2. Now, with it being a long time, it's really hard to expect anything to live up to the expectations of, something after 13 years. The game itself reminds you constantly that it has been 13 years. They actually play around with that quite a lot, and it's really fun that they do that. I actually found that to be really, really entertaining. But yeah, it's a long time. Gaming changes, technology changes, the scope of things changes a lot too. And I don't know really what I expected, and I don't know what others kind of expected either, but here we are, finally experiencing and talking about this game that I feel like I waited a good chunk of my life for. It definitely hits expectations. Like as I said, I believe the first game is a complete masterpiece in gaming. This one hits close, but there are some issues technically that I believe do hold this one back. I had issues where the game functionally just wasn't quite working. There are segments where the audio stops working, you have to reset the game, reload saves to get them to work. You have to, there's some times where you have this place called the Mine Place, which we'll be showing off in a sec here. And I had a situation towards the end of the game where it just did not work, and I had to close the game, and I did so many reloading checkpoints, resaving. It took like half an hour to figure this out, which is really annoying. And then there's other little bugs progressionally where certain characters don't talk when they're supposed to, certain things don't work when they're supposed to, there's weird kind of environmental things. And I wouldn't really focus on this sort of thing, but they are present, if that makes sense, and they do detract from something that is a bit of a slow burn gameplay-wise. So you go to the mine place from the back one, and you can change to this at any point. And Alan has his own version of the mine place too, a little bit of a different one, a writer's version. And this is where you kind of piece together your cases, you solve the crimes, you profile, you read over the manuscript pages, which have all these video clips, and you've got your map. It's kind of annoying because you got to like back out a few times to get to your map, and then if you want to go back, you got to go here and then go to your map and see the map, and it's like little annoying. I should also mention, from a technical standpoint, because I think this is a better shot to kind of showcase this game, is it has like a heavy use of FSR, which is AMD's super fidelity. It's like a resolution upscaling technology, and I don't know how well this shows up on YouTube, but it is like painfully apparent within water and surfaces like that. We call it the FSR shimmer, and it is really present. No matter which version of the game you kind of go for, it is heavily visible on the console, which again makes me kind of feel like we need mid-gen refreshes or something, because there's just, yeah, it's just so present in that regard. So just technically, I wanted to kind of mention that. Also, disappointingly, the game doesn't have a New Game Plus yet, but it is getting one post-launch. But more disappointingly, it doesn't have like a scene select. So when you finish the game like I did, you don't really have a save. It said create a save at the point of no return, but I kind of overwrote that save with like a later save, and I was like, oh, I kind of only realized that after I'd finished everything, that I was like, oh wow, I guess that kind of is important if I wanted to go back and gather collectibles or explore. Because after you finish each area, the water sort of resides, and you're able to see new things and visit new stuff. If you're a Quantum Break fan, this is a reference for you. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of the situations are kind of like, we don't own the rights to certain characters, and it's like, it's a Remedy verse. Like, it's, I think they call it the Sam Lake verse or something like that. And I love that, because all the Remedy games sort of come together and tie together under this bracket and this banner. Even if they can't directly, you know, do that sort of thing, they do all lean on one another, and they do all encompass this overall world. And you know, the game itself really is quite amazing. It's some of the best facial movement, character movement, and acting I've seen in video games. You know, the voiceover work, the actual film stuff. Because this game, like other Remedy projects, transcends just gaming. There's movie and or film and or TV-like segments of the game seamlessly transitions between during, you know, different gameplay scenarios. And that in itself is really cool to see. And it's a game that's filled with like little fun things for you to do, and people that interact with you, and so many different fun stuff that goes on here. And I loved that that was sort of something that was present here, is it's a world that feels lively. You can go listen to crowds, you can go and listen to things, and it's a place that's living. And it's a place that's changing. It's one where over the course of the story, you get to see the town getting affected. And I think that's really neat too. And it's one of those games that leans on the current trend that developers love, where the world kind of can shift quickly because we have the faster, you know, hard drives and whatnot. So like, I guess you shouldn't call them hard drives. I wonder what the point of cutback is here, because I think it's gonna, yeah, it'll turn me around. So like, when you're playing as Alan Wake, which is a joy, and it's kind of funny because she's doing basically what Alan Wake did in the first game, and he's in this crazy world. There's like a musical and everything. It's wild, but like, it's interesting. You should follow this story too, Center for Where. It's hilarious, the overall plot of that one. At least what I think it is, because I didn't get to finish it, because I, you know, anyways, doesn't matter. But like, it really is quite intriguing, because it's like Alan Wake, he's writing. So Alan Wake is writing, and he's changing the world around him. He types on the typewriter, and you see the world shift instantly, and that's how you solve and set up these murders and these crimes and these horrifying stories. And then she's dealing with situations as well that are kind of similar to that to some degree. I think it's more Alan Wake, where it's sort of like his area is the one that is changing really fast and on the fly as you deal with the dark presence. And you know, it's a game with twists and turns and changes. And I'm skipping a lot of the dialogue, mostly because I'm trying to get to certain points and show things off, because, as I did say, it is a slow burn. Like, it takes time for you to get into this experience. And that's the big thing there is kind of like this idea that like you don't see you see Alan Wake a couple hours in, and then you don't even play as Alan Wake till like a few hours in. And you know there is a chunky Alan Wake story, but I really did expect after this long that I would be spending more time with Alan Wake, considering this is, you know, his game. And I think a lot of fans will be intrigued, and I think by the end of this, though, you really will feel satisfied. You know, you will appreciate the overall story. I think you will find, you know, this to be a satisfying continuation of the adventure that we've had in the past. And it's so interesting. But I know that this is also probably not going to quite be for everyone because it is something that is very psychological, slow burning. It takes time to build, it takes time to get to places. But I do feel that you get, you know, rewarded by the end of your adventure. The things you see, the things you do, what happens with the characters, it's all rather intriguing. Now, I do wish that not Rose is actually really, really fun. But Saga, our main character here, I do wish that she had a bit more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, like substance or character development. Because it's kind of like, I don't know, there's things that happen to her and she's got characters around her and stuff, but like, yeah, you're just sort of experiencing things through her, and then she kind of really does have all these weird mythological type tie-ins, which are fascinating. See, it's hard to dive into this because I don't want to spoil things for you. That's the biggest thing here, is I want you to get an idea of what I thought of the game, while not, you know, really feeling as though the acting and stuff like that is so intriguing. Just this, there's nothing like this really in gaming. Like Remedy really does hit high notes, and the performances are all so great across the board. There's so many striking moments. It really, really is quite a blast to see how the darkness kind of infiltrates and changes and adjusts, and you don't know what is real. You don't know what's happening. It's a world of a loop, but you really feel like you're spiraling out of control as, you know, you're never really in control of what's going on. And it's so neat to see that all play out. It really, really is quite something. And this is, you know, such an impressively large scale offering from Remedy. Like, it really does go beyond what we've seen with their other titles. It's really, really quite crazy. It genuinely is such an impressive game. And there's so many secrets. There's so much to come across. And if you look and you spend some extra time in the world, there's lots to kind of like come across, and there's lots to see. And that's why I do wish that it was a little easier to like re-access certain things after I finished the game, because yeah, that just would have been a little bit better for me for exploring and taking things in and showcasing the game to you in general. But yeah, you are here to solve murders. I will mention that outside of the technical issues, where we were mentioning that, like, obviously, you know, there's so many problems with kind of like progression and stuff like that. I did notice like difficulty issues. First, I want to talk about sound. The gameplay sound is great, but like the film type scenarios is a little too quiet. And then to talk about gameplay, it's a little annoying that you are. They sort of got like this Resident Evil type setup going on here, which is fascinating. But it's like when you don't need supplies, you have tons, and when you need supplies, you can't seem to get any, which can be a little annoying. And we did talk about the mind map. I find the mind map really, really neat. I just like I really want to get to that with like all of these different systems and stuff like that. It really, really is quite a cool concept. It's basically like the perfection of like the system that I think was Fable 3 had. And then to use it as an integration for solving and figuring things out is nice. I do wish there was a bit more of a sense of direction though at times, because the game itself is kind of like, it gets tiring. And the more tired I get, the more I was kind of just like, oh, just give me a little bit more guidance, because sometimes you're just sitting there being like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I doing? And it gets exhausting because you just want to get to that next kind of point in the game, if that makes sense. And it's just like, and it goes like on and on in that regard. Because it is a lengthy game. Could have been a little tighter, honestly. It could have been a little tighter in story, or some. See, the funny thing is like some areas I felt like could have been tighter. Other areas I wanted to see more of. I really did like, as I was saying, it feels like such a reverse of scenarios where it's like, it would have been really cool to see Alan Wake doing the type of like investigation type stuff. I know he's not, he's a writer. He's just a writer. But like in the first game, I really did feel like you were exploring and trying to investigate as like a regular person trying to figure things out. And in this one is sort of like the detective angle, but it makes sense because obviously Alan Wake is in a dark place, and he gets to see and do all of the trippy, whatever trippy crazy things Remedy wants to do, they do. As I said, like a whole musical scenario. And can I just talk about the set pieces here? The set pieces here are just so amazing. Like everything is so detailed. I think that's part of why I loved the first one so much, is it was such a realistic world at a time when it was like such mixed variety for games. Like they continue to step up the levels of realism further and further with every single one of their games. And it's amazing. It really truly is. But as you can kind of tell, even for gameplay, me trying to pick like a spot here that's a little bit more action-packed and building towards something, the game itself is, as I said, a slow burn. It takes time. It takes patience. It's not all action. And the moments where it is a little crazy are moments where you're kind of almost ill-prepared for it because you're relaxed and in a calming state. But I think they do pace things decently well enough. It should be action-packed to a degree if you like this sort of thing. I think it works well. It's an effective experience. It's one that is at times terrifying. They've got great sort of in-game pop-up scenarios where you get like jumped scared, and there are so many surprises in this game, so many crazy twists, so many surreal moments where you're sort of, at times you're just in awe, and times you're in wonder, at times you're maybe feeling a little spooky or scared or spooked out, and it's a great game. It really is. I don't know if it I don't know if it passes the first game, if that makes sense, but I think it's right up there. And I just wish that little bit of extra polish would have been taken to just make this one have a little cleaner of an experience. And yeah, I think it's really going to come down to whether or not you find that this game would be really intriguing to you. If you're expecting some kind of crazy action, if you're expecting wild moments and stuff like that. Sure, it's got those, but it is a game about detecting, a game about solving puzzles, a game about exploring, a game about seeing things through, figuring out what exactly is happening. Where are the twists? Where are the turns? Is what you're seeing even real? Or is there something deeper behind what's going on? Is there something hidden? And what are you actually seeing that is real? What are you seeing that is present? It sounds just silly and ridiculous. But, like, that is a lot of the game, is kind of like this idea that there is something more in this world, something crazier going on. And it's just kind of wild. I really did love it. I really wish I would have spent more time exploring, if that makes sense, because I was kind of pressured to get through it. And I just wish there wasn't such hurdles that took up some of my time. I don't necessarily feel that anything was like padded, if that makes sense, but I do feel some areas could have been set up in a way that was more time effective in regards to getting to more story type stuff. But the overlays, the visuals, the setup, the presentation of this game, I really can't think of anything else in the gaming industry that even comes close to this type of design or concept. It truly is quite wondrous, and they've taken such incredible steps in regards to improving the visuals, like the world, the detail, the character models, the way they act, the transitions between gameplay and cinematics, and cinematics and real film. It's really, really quite amazing. It's a surreal, truly unique Remedy experience that will surprise you, delight you, and just, I don't know, at times fill you with dread, at times fill you with wonder, and at times make you question what exactly is going on. And yeah, I hope you enjoy diving in and seeing Alan's next chapter and seeing what exactly happens with the character, because I am hungry for more Alan Wake, honestly.